This is gonna be a good one. Don't have a broom with me, so skateboard gets to be the broom. Today, I'm at this kind of random curb spot. I was driving around the other day, like literally looking for skate spots, and I came across this curb sitting up on another curb, and I thought that looks fun to skate. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. This video is about the question, should I start skateboarding as an adult? Because I hear so many people in their 20s and 30s right now asking that question. So I want to talk about that in this video, like that question, should you start skateboarding as an adult? Why you should or maybe shouldn't skateboard as an adult. Whoa! Now, this is coming from the perspective of me, an average skater who did start skateboarding as an adult at the age of 27. Ooh, that was a good heel flip. I'm now 34, so that'll give you a little glimpse of my background and where I'm coming from. I'm not the most talented skater in the world, which you'll see through this video, but I like to say that I'm fairly average at skateboarding. Let's talk about why skating is a good thing to pick up as an adult. Okay, yeah, we got that. Point number one, reason number one for why to pick up skateboarding as an adult. I would argue we live currently in a time, in a day and age of instant gratification. Anything that we try to do, any new skill we try to learn, things like that, I feel like just the world that we live in nowadays has made us a lot less patient, I guess, or a lot less willing to put in hard work for something that's not going to gratify us instantly. If you want to buy something and you want it now, you can basically get it as close to now as possible. You can get it next day delivery, right? If you want to learn a new skill, we have videos and tutorials and everything teaching us how to do things. Video games, like a lot of people, oh yeah, we got that. I still play video games to this day, but so many video games are designed literally for you to always be awesome at it, to be able to immediately pick it up and to be good at it, because the video game publishers, the people who are making these games, they know that if you don't feel some kind of instant reward, instant gratification, instant success, you're probably going to put that game down and never play it again. If a game's too hard, you can lower the level, go from hard to medium to easy until you're able to beat it. We want something, or we want to be good at something, and we want it now. We want it immediate. And if we don't get that immediate sense of gratification, we tend to give up really, really quick. And I think that's just where we're at as a culture. Skateboarding is different. When you learn how to skateboard, it's going to take even the basic stuff. Like, let's say an ollie. That right there, an ollie. Even an ollie is going to take weeks and months to learn, and probably going to even take more than a year to perfect and to get comfortable at an ollie. You might be thinking, why do you have this under the list of categories, under the pro categories? Because this sounds like a con. If this is going to take me a long time to learn how to do this activity proficiently. Why is that a pro? Well, we need that. Yes, there we go. I would argue that we need that in our lives. We need things in our lives that aren't easy, that don't come quick, that aren't such instant gratification, that aren't those instant hits of dopamine. Like, we need something in our lives that we've got to work at, that we've got to spend months and months and months getting better at to counteract everything else in our lives and in our culture. Everything telling us that you should be getting it now or whatever. It's like it rebalances us. That first point is actually one of the reasons why I set up my YouTube channel the way that I did, focused on average skaters. And in my videos, it's one of the reasons why I leave in all of my missed tricks, is because I think there's so many videos on YouTube that would lead you to believe that skateboarding is actually kind of easy. And it can be really deceiving and misleading. And it can really make you start to believe this activity is easy. Why is easy for other people? Why is it so hard for me? It is difficult, and it's supposed to be difficult. And it's good that it's difficult. Oh, there we go. There we go. So yeah, skateboarding is a challenge, but it's a good challenge. It's a healthy challenge. It's a challenge I would argue that we need in our lives. Oh, that was such a good one. Gosh. Jack. I mean, but look at this right here. It's like, this is a trick that I know how to do. And it's taken me a while to land it. Oh, so good. I'm sitting on it so well. Point number 2 is going to be a little bit ironic, since I'm here skateboarding 100% alone with no one anywhere to be found. Point number 2 is you can meet so many people. And you can make so many friends skateboarding. Now, to do that, you're going to have to do what you can't do what I'm doing here, which is just skate by yourself. Oh my gosh. To do that, you're going to have to go to the skate park. You're going to have to be social. But one of the reasons why I don't film at skate parks very often is because I want that time at the skate park to be a social time for me. And I don't feel like I can have a proper social time with a camera out and a microphone on. I have to be there and be social. Let's try to fakie. It is toasty today. It's definitely a heat advisory in a lot of the areas around here. You might be thinking to yourself, why the heck are you wearing pants? I went to a spot that I normally skate at that has a big overhang and the whole spot is shaded, and I thought that's where I was going to be skating. And there were a bunch of semi trucks parked there, taking up the spot. So that's why I came here. Going back to what I was saying, making friends skateboarding. So if you go to the skate park, you typically can meet people, talk to people. They will help you learn new tricks. That has 100% happened to me before. They will typically support you. It can feel intimidating, and I've got a video about overcoming skate park anxiety. It can be intimidating when you are a beginner going to the skate park, but 9 times out of 10, everybody there is going to support you. Not all the time, but most of the time. Oh my gosh. This is gonna be a good one. There we go. But what I've discovered is typically the people you meet at the skate park come from a variety of different backgrounds and just really diverse crowd. And typically really cool people to get to know. People you might not necessarily meet in other walks of life during your 9-to-5 job, during, other activities that you do. You might not necessarily bump shoulders with them, but you share the same skate park. And I personally have loved getting to meet a diverse group of people going to the skate park like that. Front shoves are starting to feel a little bit better. Close. Something about the way a front shove looks when it's done well, not like that. It looks sick. These next 2 reasons for why I think you should consider skateboarding as an adult are probably 2 of what I think are the most important, but also 2 that people might not think right off the bat. They might not be the most obvious. I can't tell if it's still too rough at the top of it. This one's an important one. You don't need a team to skateboard. You don't need an entire group of people to get together to skateboard. You can skateboard with others. You can get a whole group together and skate. I've done that in the past, but you don't have to. So I'm comparing this to other activities I might choose to do as an adult. And one of the main things, if you're trying to stay in shape and be active, is joining like adult sports leagues. Nothing wrong with that. Joining adult sports leagues is cool. Oh, wow, that stuck. Typically, just to play, like, let's say you want to join a softball league. Well, you need, I think it's 9 players on the field on one team, 9 players on the other team, 18 people all together. Oh, that grinded really good. 18 people all together at the same time. And on top of that, it's got to be scheduled in at a specific time, specific date, specific location. You can't just like, oh, I've got the urge to go play softball. Let me go play softball right now. Oh. So sometimes it grinds through, sometimes it doesn't. I said in my last video, I've got a newborn at home. Today I knew I had 1 hour where my mother-in-law was there to help. More than an hour, like 2 hours. I knew I had a 2-hour window where my mother-in-law was going to be home. to help out my wife with the baby. So I knew I had this time to skate. Well, if I join a sports league or something like that, my schedule might not match up with the league schedule. So anyways, you get the idea. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm gonna have to actually lift up a little bit. Let's go back to landing a front side 50-50 that we ollie into. The next point that is a huge one as we get older that I don't think people think about is skateboarding can teach you really good balance. Like landing and being like in an awkward position, having to adjust your weight, landing and unexpectedly it being slippier or grippier than you thought it was going to be. All right, we're gonna leave this curb alone for right now. We're going back to that one. Yeah, that was a lot faster than earlier. Like I was saying, balance, learning balance. Why would that matter? Well, as you get older, as we begin to age, one of the biggest reasons people get injured in their 50s, 60s, ages like that, and it can be really life-altering, is falling on simple, basic ground, walking around and things like that. And I would argue that skateboarding is gonna, number one, give you better balance, and number two, teach you how to fall properly. And that's not even considering the fact that it also is going to strengthen your bones. There we go. So right there I hit a pebble and I had to adjust my body to be able to keep from falling. Those little like micro adjustments and things like that to hold my balance. You learn that skateboarding, and I guarantee you, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physical therapist, but I'd be willing to bet it'd be beneficial in the long run. Oh, that one felt so good. Time to do a few tricks that actually scare me a little bit. Since we're doing some tricks that are going to scare me a little bit, I'm putting on the helmet. The other thing I kind of want to try is just ollieing over it, because I did try to ollie over a rail recently and didn't commit to it, and I kind of want to commit to it today. So got the helmet on to overcome some fear, which is actually going to kind of lead us nicely into the next topic, which is getting injured. 2 reasons people don't ever try to skateboard, but the number one reason why people don't ever give skateboarding a try as an adult is a fear of getting injured. I tell you that as I'm doing a trick that scares me. Like, I'm nervous, very nervous right now, that my back truck is going to hit there and I'm going to be pitched off the board. So I live in Asheville, North Carolina, which has a really big mountain biking scene. All my friends that are in their 30s, not all of them, but a lot of them mountain bike. And they've told me that skateboarding scares them as far as injury goes. But one of them broke their collarbone and broke like 5 ribs by hitting a tree mountain biking. I think there's a stigma around skateboarding that everybody just like assumes you're going to fall and you're going to get hurt. But 90% of the times you fall, you just step off the board and you land on your feet. Oh, come on, Jack, you can do this. I think I'm about to get kicked out. How's it going? All right, I got you. We got the boot at the last spot. We got kicked out, but it's not all bad because I drove back around to the spot I was planning on skating at because it's got an overhang and I'm completely in the shade. And those semi trucks that were parked here are gone, meaning I can skate here. Meaning I can stay cool and probably skate for a little longer than I originally was going to have to because I was getting real hot out there. I don't know where I left off. I was putting a helmet on because I was trying something, a trick that scares me a little bit. Whoa, that was... Yeah, so the biggest reason I think people don't end up skating or don't stick with it is the fear of injury. I actually think that is a little bit overblown. So like I said at the last spot, I've had a lot of my friends mountain bike. And when they tell people they mountain bike, no one sits there and says to them, ooh, shouldn't do that. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt biking. No one says that. But there's something about skateboarding. There's a certain stigma where everybody immediately thinks you're going to get injured. Or it's easy to get injured. Now, this might be, if you believe in jinxes, this might be the riskiest thing I've ever done because I'm about to maybe jinx myself. But in my skating as an adult, over the last 7 years, I had one injury, a herniated disc, and it was not from skateboarding. It was from carrying a couch up a stairwell. Oof. I actually think I might have to stop in a minute to prevent a migraine. Okay, so that session ended kind of weird. So as you saw, I got kicked out of the parking lot that I was skateboarding in. It was a parking lot that was split between two businesses, one that is still running and one that is not, like, is a completely empty building. And the parking lot was massive behind the business. Literally no one was there. It was the most empty and desolate parking lot you can imagine. And a security guard came and kicked me out. And I'm not going to get too into it, but I kind of have a little bit of a problem with the way he kicked me out. He could have definitely handled it differently. Anyways, we're not going to dive into all of that. And then I went to the second location. And keep in mind, this was like the hot super heat wave that's been going on this summer. I know my videos can release a few weeks later, so when you're watching this video, things might have cooled off. So I got to that second spot where I had the overhang and a little more shade and things like that. And by that time, I had gotten pretty dehydrated with how humid and hot things were. And so I get migraines occasionally that are exercise induced, and they happen when I'm just dehydrated. And what happens is I get these floaters in my vision. It just makes my vision really obscured. And then usually I get those floaters, and then the headache and the pain hits about 20 to 30 minutes later. So what you saw in that video was I did a trick, and then right after I finished that trick, the floaters started happening in my vision, and I knew immediately I have to stop. I have to go get hydrated, and I have to take my migraine medicine. Otherwise,
I'm going to be like destroyed with a horrible headache for the rest of the day. So that's why I just immediately stopped the session there. And luckily, that day, which was just a few days ago, I did avoid the migraine. I had to end the session at the point where I was talking about injury. So, as I mentioned, um, injuries I feel like are a little bit overblown. I used the example about mountain biking, but there's all sorts of other activities. Like most of my personal worst injuries I've had as an adult have been playing soccer, have been playing basketball. I have personally, again, really hoping I don't jinx myself. I have personally not had any bad injuries skateboarding. Injuries are 1,000% possible skateboarding. I am not saying that you're going to skateboard and you're not going to get injured. What I am saying though is I do think that they are a bit exaggerated and a bit overblown because people imagine when you're skateboarding that you're falling all the time and just smashing into the concrete. When you skateboard a bunch, you learn how to fall appropriately. You learn how to fall in ways that you're not going to hurt yourself. Um, and then the other thing too is like if you are nervous about injury and you're letting that keep you from skateboarding, put on wrist guards, put on a helmet, and you are going to be okay. The number one injury that happens in skateboarding is when people try to catch themselves falling, and you're going to maybe break or sprain or hurt your wrist. So wear some wrist guards, wear a helmet. You're likely not going to have any problem skateboarding with injuries. You definitely could roll your ankle. You're definitely going to get some shinners every now and then and things like that. But the kind of idea that you're going to get super injured because you're skateboarding, I think it's a little bit exaggerated in my opinion. And in my personal opinion, joining a soccer league, um, joining a basketball league as an adult, you're just as likely to get injured as you are skateboarding. But people aren't going to call you crazy for playing soccer as an adult. People aren't going to call you crazy for playing basketball as an adult. My dad, when he was in his 30s, when I was a kid, he was playing basketball and he tore his Achilles. And I don't think anybody was sitting there saying like, "You're crazy, Johnny, for trying to play basketball as an adult." But for some reason, people think we're crazy for skateboarding as adults. Anyways, that is a long rant about injuries, but I do think it's the number one reason why people don't skate as adults. And so I did want to spend a good amount of time talking about that. The second reason why I think people don't skate as adults or give it up is honestly a feeling of embarrassment, a feeling of um, feeling like they look like a beginner, they look maybe like a poser, and embarrassment being on the skateboard. Again, this is another one that is so skateboard specific because I think if you were someone like I remember trying to pick up soccer just out of college because my wife played a lot of soccer and I personally am not great at it. But I was not embarrassed going out and playing and being a beginner. I just told people, hey, I didn't grow up playing soccer, but here I am trying it as an adult. But there's something about skateboarding that people get very embarrassed being a beginner. And we shouldn't feel embarrassed being a beginner. Like everyone was a beginner at some point. And I don't just mean in skateboarding. Like everyone was a beginner at something at some point. And when you're a beginner, you're not going to look like a professional. You should not expect to look like John Morant. I'm going to use a Grizzlies reference because I'm a Grizzlies fan. You're not going to look like John Morant the first time you play basketball. And truthfully, you're not ever going to look like someone on that level playing basketball as an average person. Like we should not expect that we should not go to the skate park expecting to look like a pro skater. It is okay to look like a beginner. Skateboarding is just interesting because sometimes when you do go to the skate park, something that's different with skateboarding compared to some other sports, when you do go to the skate park, you're going to be surrounded by people that are way younger than you, that are way more talented than you. And I think that's where the embarrassment comes in. I think we don't want to be that like old guy at the skate park that's struggling to stay on his board while there's 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, doing tray flips and doing board slides down a huge rail and things like that. Yeah, I think that's just something that we have to work through. We have to find a way to put that embarrassment behind us. But then also you can find places to skate and get comfortable on the board where you're not around people. Get to the skate park early, before set, like at 7 a.m. Honestly, there's not ever going to be very many people there. And if there are people there, they're probably trying to do the same thing you are, which is trying to avoid crowds, or empty parking lots, places like that. You might get kicked out, but but going to places like that, you're going to avoid those big crowds. You're going to avoid, maybe that feeling of embarrassment. And then honestly, at the end of the day, like, who cares what other people think? Go out, skate, have fun. It is such a great hobby. Yeah, it's just a cool hobby. Unlike most other hobbies, it's going to take a lot of time before you feel any sort of success. And I would argue that is a good thing. It is good to push yourself and try something that is challenging, try something that puts you out of your comfort zone and things like that. So, those are all my opinions. Should you start to skateboard as an adult? I strongly believe yes. Buy some wrist guards, buy a helmet, find an empty parking lot, cruise around for a little bit, get comfortable on the board, skateboard, have fun. It is such a fun hobby to do as an adult. My only regret with skateboarding is that I didn't start back earlier as an adult. Also, another thing I just thought about, I've been meaning to share this on the channel, on the YouTube channel, but I haven't shared it in a video. I have an Etsy page. I take old skateboards and I actually carve them down into cruiser shapes. I repurpose old skateboards and put a little custom artwork on them. So I do some collage, collage, painting, and mix it all together with some mixed media artworks. I think they're pretty cool. I also do some watercolor and things of that nature. But you could also reach out if you want a custom artwork, a custom cruiser design. So yeah, check out my Etsy page if you want to support the YouTube channel. That's a great way to support the channel, is buy something off my Etsy page. And then you get something back. In next week's video, hyped about next week's video, I'm going to go out and do some street skating. So thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.